Tonight, opposition MHAs rally behind a survivor of childhood physical abuse, pleading with the province to change its laws. That story, plus a prominent St. John's lawyer takes the stand at his own defense during his sexual assault trial today. We'll take you there.
I was just so excited, really. So I thought I really want a boat and a trailer. $55,000 worth.
Frustration after Tim Horton sends emails telling people they won big when they didn't.
It's the largest high school hockey tournament in the province, and it's happening right now here in Paradise and Mount Pearl. I'm live. I'll have all the details coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin on Confederation Hill. Opposition MHAs have read the same petition 10 times at the House of Assembly this week. They're pushing Andrew Furey's government to eliminate the time restrictions in place for child abuse cases. As Here and Now's Ryan Cook reports, it's an important change for people who were wronged by the province, including one man who's been in the public gallery every day.
We, the undersigned, call upon the House of Assembly to urge the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador to amend the Limitations Act.
We, the undersigned, call upon the House of Assembly to urge the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador to amend the Limitations Act.
We, the undersigned, call upon the House of Assembly and urge the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador to amend the Limitations Act.
This is a petition urging the House of Assembly to ask Government to amend the Limitations Act to clearly state that there is no limitation period for civil claims involving child abuse of any form.
MHAs have read this petition 30 times since last fall, when Jack Whalen brought his makeshift solitary confinement cell to Confederation Building. Whalen estimates he was locked in solitary for 730 days as a child at the Whitburn Boys' Home. Cruel and unusual punishment, but he's left with no recourse because the statute of limitations has passed. The province eliminated all time limits of sexual abuse in the 90s after the abuse at Mount Cashel came to light. That allowed survivors to sue the government and their abusers. But they didn't do the same for other forms of child abuse, like physical or psychological.
So I call upon the government again, for the sake of Jack Whalen and the sake of other people that were injured so bad that it's a lifelong mental suffering that they have to go through, that we do something.
Jack Whalen has been in the public gallery all week long. He's undergoing cancer treatments back home in Ontario, but had to put them on pause for the discovery portion of his lawsuit. He'll have a 2-week trial in October, where he hopes the Limitations Act will be deemed unconstitutional. Failing that, the only option will be the government changing the law.
I have an attitude like I had when I was a kid, and that was never give up. When you run away, you want to turn yourself in because you were cold and hungry. And I never did. No matter if it took me 2 days to get home, how cold it was, it didn't matter. It would be worth it in the end. And this is what I feel about this, right? That at some point it has to change, and it'll be worth it.
Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a twist in the trial for Robert Regular today. The 72-year-old was called to the stand at his own sexual assault trial. The well-known lawyer and businessman denied ever sexually assaulting the complainant. Ariana Kelland was there today and has the latest and a warning that this story does have some distressing details.
This is uncommon, having the accused take the stand, and that's because it's not up to Robert Regular to prove his innocence, but the Crown's job to prove his guilt. But today, the 72-year-old took the stand anyway and told his story in front of family and supporters who have been with him at Supreme Court for the last 2 weeks. He's disputing much of what the woman testified to last week. He does agree that he represented the woman's family extensively, starting in the 1990s, and later represented her, but said none of the sexual allegations happened. The woman alleges she was groped at the age of 12 in her mother's car, was sexually assaulted at 17 in his office, and had sex with him on 2 other occasions in 2012 and 2013. Now, the defense has called evidence that he has erectile dysfunction. but was prescribed medication. A doctor testified it would be a challenge to do what Regular is alleged to have done, but not impossible. Today, Regular addressed that by saying, quote, "I just know I wouldn't take Viagra in preparation to have sex with the complainant. It didn't happen, never would happen, never gonna happen." The Crown began cross-examination late this afternoon, and while it didn't last long before the day was done, it did get heated fast. The prosecutor questioned Regular about unpaid legal work he did for the complainant and what he remembered. He got frustrated by this and was told by the judge to be patient. The Crown then suggested Regular tried to discredit the woman to police in 2021. Regular said, "That's crap." Speaking about the RNC's case, he said, quote, "If she, the police officer, finished her investigation, we wouldn't be here today." Robert Regular's cross-examination will continue tomorrow. Ariana Kelland, CBC News, St. John's.
Unsettling photos questioning the cleanliness and upkeep of the Health Sciences Centre in St. John's were tabled at the House of Assembly today. Progressive Conservative MHA Barry Pettin released these recent photos showing areas of the hospital that need repairs or have rodent feces and food waste on the floor in a room where patients are recovering.
It's just not good enough, you know. That's not where any of us should want to recover from a serious surgery. And it's in a room like that. I mean, the risk of infection is just your overall well-being. It's not, you know, you want to be in a hospital. My mindset coming up, growing up, if you go to a hospital, it should be one of the cleanest places you go to. You go there to get well, not to get sick.
This is not acceptable. There are facility managers and maintenance in place at the hospital. If any patient sees something like this, they should immediately bring it to the attention of staff in the hospital so that it can be looked at immediately. I would encourage them to do that, but I'm certainly looking into it to get feedback from the health authority and find out what can be done to mitigate the issue as quickly as possible.
Still with healthcare, the province has awarded contracts to create 2 urgent care centres in St. John's. They're hoping to take some pressure off the hospital emergency departments. One of the centres, a 12,000 square foot space, will be built on Topsail Road near the Blackmarsh Road intersection. The other will be in the former Costco building in the East End and is expected to open next year.
This should improve access for patients requiring urgent services that don't require the full services of a hospital emergency department. So examples might be a laceration that requires a couple of stitches. So it improves access for them, and it reduces the kind of backlog and clog in the emergency departments. So folks with very acute illnesses, it should improve access for them too.
Well, a St. John's woman is feeling frustrated and betrayed after Tim Hortons told her she won big in the company's Roll Up the Rim contest, only to reveal later that it was all a mistake. Here Now's Lucas Wall reports.
An email just like this popped up for Carol Evans during yesterday's lunch break. It was a rundown of this year's Roll Up the Rim contest, and it said that she'd won a brand new boat and trailer.
I was just so excited, really excited that I really won a boat and a trailer, $55,000 worth.
But her excitement was short-lived. Just a few hours later, she got another email correcting the first. Her hopes for a new boat sank, and so did those for a potential retirement.
Would have helped me quite a lot because I could have sold the boat and trailer and had some money, barely paid off some bills, probably could have, who knows, retired after 55 years of work.
Evans isn't alone. CBC News spoke with a person in Western Newfoundland who received the same email. The incident spans the country. Tim Horton sent an apology letter to customers like Evans, pointing to technical errors as the source of the problem. The letter said the email may have included prizes that the customers hadn't actually won. In a statement to CBC News, Tim Horton said it developed a Roll Up to Win recap email message with the best intentions of giving its guests a fun overview of their 2024 play history, but unfortunately there was a human error that resulted in some guests receiving some incorrect information. Evans says the situation isn't fair. She'd like to see Roll Up the Rim move away from the app and back to paper cups, and she says the mix-up has changed her feelings toward the coffee chain.
I go to Tim's quite a lot, 7 days a week. I'm afraid now that's going to change to no days a week.
Lucas Wall, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the price of gasoline jumped across the province this morning, bringing the cost of a litre even closer to the $2 mark. On the Avalon, self-serve gas prices have hit a maximum of almost $1.94 a litre. This morning was the 12th increase this year and the 5th in as many weeks. The jump wasn't as big as other provinces, though, which saw hikes of about 14 cents a litre. But it does mean gas is about 36 cents more expensive here now than it was at the beginning of the year. Well, the water main break in Conception Bay South has been repaired. According to a press release from the town, the repairs were completed after 6 p.m. yesterday, and town facilities reopened shortly after. Residents might still notice some issues with their water for the next couple of days. The break happened Tuesday afternoon on Anchorage Road in the Long Pond area. It shut down 9 schools across town, and many residents experienced low to no water pressure.
Good evening, Heather here with your weather, and we're going to start with the road cams. Look at this foxtrot a little earlier today. You can see the snow on the side of the road and in the ditch and the wet there on the pavement. A little bit more accumulation in Holyrood, it looks like here, and you can see snow on the Bonavista Peninsula near Port Rexton as well. But here in St. John's, I haven't seen much yet, and it has made for a slippery day on the road, especially here east of Whitburn. This photo comes from X, formerly known as Twitter, and Paulette Murphy posted it. You can see it looks like it was a slippery day for this tractor trailer there on the highway. What we have now on the radar is this snow still kind of over central but moving. The purple here is ice, and the green, of course, rain. So it's transitioning from snow to rain as this low sits offshore here, and that's the trend that we are going to see tonight with the snow changing over to rain. We're going to have clouds for the West Coast and Labrador. The rain ends on Friday. We're going to talk about that later on Here and Now.
Thanks, Heather. Well, some schools in the metro region might soon see some changes. The Department of Education is reviewing the grades offered at 4 schools. St. Andrews Elementary and Lark Hall Academy in St. John's would be reconfigured from K-5 to K-4. Leary's Brook Junior High would go from grades 6 to 9 to grades 5 to 8. And Prince of Wales Collegiate would change from grades 10 to level 4 to grades 9 to level 4. And this move would affect students who will enter the last year at their school in the fall. Now, those changes would only be temporary, though, until the schools in Kenmount Terrace and Portugal Cove are built. The changes could come into effect in September. But first, the department is seeking feedback. A final decision will be made at the end of this month. Well, it's an emotional night.
My name is Noel Joe. I'm a Mi'kmaq from Mi'kmaq First Nation.
Apologies there. It was an emotional night for the people of Mi'kmaq. A piece of their history will roll on the big screen during a gala event for the community.
My name is Noel Joe. I'm a Mi'kmaq from Mi'kmaq First Nation. And this is my journey.
Well, that's part of The Forgotten Warriors. It's a documentary commemorating the 41st anniversary of a hunger strike protest, a moment that helped the community pave the way for a brighter future. Here and Now's Jessica Singer brings us there.
We're rolling out the red carpet for one of the biggest events the community of Mi'kmaq has ever seen. It's the premiere of a new documentary called The Forgotten Warriors. It tells the story of the 9-day hunger strike by Mi'kmaq activists back in 1983. Tonight's premiere will feature music from a new multi-generational women's choir, as well as food from a local chef. The film's director, Noel Joe, told me that he never expected something this big would come from his idea to do a documentary.
I think it's going to be impactful. I think it's going to be emotional. I think it's going to be a lot of pride. I think it's going to be, you know, to be able to bring the community together and share in this moment. You know, it's not my moment, it's the community's moment, right? And this is for them.
There's a table for each hunger striker, 6 for the surviving and 3 for the family members and loved ones of the hunger strikers who have since passed away. The excitement and buzz in Mi'kmaq is palpable because the hunger strike shaped this community into what it is today, a sacrifice that will not be forgotten.
It's just amazing to look back and, you know, after 2 years of hard work and, you know, pride and to be able to to be able to share that with the community. Yeah.
Jessica Singer, CBC News, Mi'kmaq.
Well, a family managed to escape their home in Paradise last night before it was destroyed by a fire. Police, fire, and ambulance crews responded to the call just after 10 o'clock. The family was asleep when it happened. The homeowner woke up and rushed 2 children out of the house. No one was injured, and police are still investigating the cause. Now to some sports news. It's the largest hockey tournament in the province with 32 teams taking part. The Royal Newfoundland Regiment Memorial Tournament pays tribute to the regiment and its rich hockey history. And this week, 16 men's and 16 women's teams will play for the Beaumont Hamel Trophy. For many of the skaters, it'll be their last time suiting up for their high school teams. Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton is at the Paradise event tonight and joins us live. So Jeremy, how's the tournament shaping up so far?
Well, it's the playlist that they're playing is pretty banging here. We're having a good time. The third period is just underway. If you have a look behind me, it appears to be the Mount Pearl Senior High Huskies. I believe that's your alma mater, Carolyn. And the Quarterbrook Titans are getting ready to start the third period. The Titans are up 3-0, but it is a large tournament. There's close to 500 athletes, 32 teams from all across the island, none in Labrador, but we'll get to that. Now, earlier today, I chatted with a number of people about the significance of this tournament, and here's a little bit of what they had to say.
This week is the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Memorial High School Hockey Tournament. We've kind of grown since last year. We've gone to 32 teams now, 16 boys, 16 girls, and as a result of that growth, we had to reach out to the Glacier, who are more than accommodating, to give us some ice time to play the rest of the game. So 80 games being played total, 60 here at the Paradise Rink, 20 of those are being played at the Glacier. Right up until, Sunday is Championship Sunday, I should say.
Why was it important? This tournament's been on the go for 7 years. I know COVID derailed it a little bit, but why was it important to create this hockey tournament?
So I guess what happened was back in 2016, the coach of Holy Spirit and Holy Spirit's staff decided that they wanted to commemorate or do something for the 100th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme 2016. So they come up with the idea to have the the Beaumont Hamel Centennial Cup, I think is what they call it initially. And then in 2017, they reached out to us, and of course we were gone past the centennial year now, and now we needed to say, what do we want the focus of this tournament to be? So the focus of the tournament now is remembrance. We want to remember, those from World War I, commemorate their efforts, commemorate the esprit de corps that were shown by young soldiers, 100, 110, whatever years ago. And so we just built on that concept and went from there.
It's an awesome experience. I love the sport. There's so many teams in this tournament. Get to meet a lot of new people, and it's just awesome.
I understand that you have a connection to the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. Can you talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind?
Sure. So my great-great-grandfather was in the war, and he battled for us to be here today.
I don't think it's just another hockey tournament because I know a lot of people here have relatives and family members who fought in the war for us. So I really think this tournament specifically, it helps remember the people who fought for us to be here, and I think it's a really good thing.
So we've got roughly 480 hockey players, and plus their coaching staff, so roughly 5 staff and teacher sponsors. So it's a lot of teams and a lot of players, a lot of coaching staff, and the parents, of course, right? There's a lot of support for the hockey, especially the girls' hockey. There's a lot of support for those players.
This is something that we have preached our entire lives, our entire careers about the regiment and the history of the regiment. So giving back to the community, I mean, we couldn't do it without the volunteers. And I just enjoy the look on the young people's face when they realise the connection that they actually have to the regiment and their ancestors. You know, talking to some of these kids, they can't realise, or they don't realise the importance of having a great-great-grandfather or a great-grandfather World War I veteran, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just fantastic to see the elation in their eyes, actually.
So there are a number of players playing this week and into the weekend who have connections to the First World War and the Second World War, including 2 young men that I just mentioned. One guy plays for Grand Falls, Windsor, another guy plays for Corner Brook. One guy's great-great-grandfather was in the First World War, and the other guy, his great-grandfather was in the First World War. Turns out they're the same dude, and they just found out that they were related. So there's a lot of neat stories like that. And Carolyn, I do have to ask, did you go to O'Donnell or was it Mount Pearl Senior High? So I think I said off the top you went to senior high.
That is correct. I went to O'Donnell. I am a Patriots girl from Mount Pearl, but I do wish all of the teams the best of luck.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, sounds good. So reporting live for Here Now from Paradise, I'm Jeremy Eaton.
Thanks, Jeremy. Well, maybe you've experienced this before. You hear a familiar accent while you're away on vacation, and you know a fellow Newfoundlander is close by. Sometimes total strangers become instant friends because of that shared connection. Well, our next story is about that exactly, but on a much, much larger scale.
For us, it was a total coincidence. We started to see other Facebook posts from Facebook friends that they were also going on a cruise and they were doing the cruise countdown, which we weren't doing. But then when I did the math, I thought it can't be. We all can't be on the same cruise. So we had a conversation with our travel agent, who's Jennifer Lynch with Expedia Cruises and here in St. John's. And lo and behold, she said there was about 250 couples that she knew of. This was around Christmas, that would be joining us from Newfoundland and Labrador.
Probably about 6 months ago, I guess, our real estate or our booking agent with Expedia, she had messaged us and reminded us that there was about 500 Newfoundlanders had signed on to the cruise.
My fiance is from Pooch Cove in Newfoundland and Labrador, and there was people from, I mean, I don't even think there was anybody left in Pooch Cove. There were so many of them on this cruise ship.
It was a great bit of fun. Everybody enjoyed themselves. I know the first night that there was no official gathering, but a lot of Newfoundlanders gathered down in the Martini Bar, and they ran out of beer. The booking agent with Expedia was there, and she came over and asked me if I'd get up and sing the Islander and do the Eyes to Buy and probably do a sociable for everybody on board. So I was happy enough to do that.
Like, you know, usually in an elevator, you're kind of looking ahead, but this was, you know, come on in, my ducky, and where are you from, my trout? And there's loads of room in here, mate. And it was just a come home year in the Caribbean.
You're sitting down for your lunch or your supper, and there's somebody sitting next to you who you don't know, who's probably from somewhere else around the world. And they ask, you know, you're always asking, so where are you folks from and stuff like that. And, you know, when I say I'm from Newfoundland, Canada, they say, well, I was just talking to like 5 other people from Newfoundland. What's going on? And you know, having to explain, well, you know, there's 500 of us here on board the boat.
My partner and I are going on another cruise in November. And we're going to be going on the Celebrity November 23rd. So come on, everybody, and join us. We'd love to have another big celebration.
Oh my, looks like a time. Not a time through Central today with temperatures around the freezing mark and lots of snow, failing to get into the double digits like we saw earlier in the week. We'll have more on your weather later in the show.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. The bonus prize deadline is midnight, Friday, April 12th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
A lot of people complaining about the weather today for sure. Heather, my goodness, it was a nasty day out there today.
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
Let me just apologize for the weather today. It was not a great day for Central and even parts of the Avalon. We saw that snow earlier in the show. We haven't really transitioned to it here yet in St. John, so keeping an eye on it. Temperature about 1 degree. I just checked, and our highs today, not too hot, let me tell you, especially through Central, getting to 5, 6, 8 degrees for parts of the West Coast, and freezing for Northern Labrador, and 3 and 4 in Western Labrador today. We did set some temperature records yesterday, we tied some records. We didn't set records. Burgeo, 11.1 degrees, tying the record from 1968. Port aux Basques at 10.1, tying a record from 2006. We do have some watches and warnings out. This special weather statement that we've been talking about for the past couple of days, still in effect for much of the same area that it has been in effect for, except for the Bayvert Peninsula. Adding to it tonight, a wind warning for the Bonavista Peninsula, this northeast coast. You could see gusts up to 100, and the impact of that could be on power or tree lines or, anything like that that could blow around. So if you got anything out around your property, bring it in or tie it down, because it's going to be a windy night along that northeast coast here. Taking a look at our future tracker, you see the snow here for Central and the mix of precipitation in here, and then the rain just above it. So this is going to stick around with some snow mixed with some ice pellets as things change over to rain tonight for many places as we go towards tomorrow morning. Tonight, what we will see is temperatures in the east between 0 and 2 degrees. So you're going to be flirting with that freezing in some places. Winds from the north for pretty well everyone, gusting to 60 and 80 here in the east. Around the freezing mark with some clouds for the southwest coast, and a little bit cooler for the west coast. As we go on up into Labrador tonight, it's going to be below freezing for everyone. Some cloud for Lab West, Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and into Nain, but you couldn't see a flurry there in Cartwright tonight. Moving on, taking a look at the snow accumulation that could come. Just a trace to a centimeter or two left to fall for many places through Central, possibly even the Burin Peninsula. And when it comes to the rain, we're going to see the higher amounts here in the east over the Avalon as we go into tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to start to see that rain move off, and you can see the wind here moving off with it as that system starts to depart into Friday night. Taking a closer look at tomorrow now. For St. John's and the northeast Avalon, we've got rain here, 2 degrees, winds still from the north at 60, warmer for the southern Avalon, where once this rain departs, you could see a peak of sunshine. Look at that. Same thing there for Marystown, a degree higher. Bonavista Peninsula looking like you will have a chance of showers at 4 degrees. Moving on into Central now, things warming up a little bit compared to where they are right now. 2 to 4 degrees, or 2 to 5, excuse me, for Central Newfoundland, cooler along the coast there in Twillingate. Seeing some clouds for the south coast there, and you've got a chance of flurries, but for Terra Nova, it's a chance of showers. Onto the west coast, you've got a lovely day. Look at this, 9, 10 degrees for the west coast and the southwest coast, some sun and some cloud. On up to the northern peninsula, things looking fairly similar, cooling off just a touch there for you folks with light winds, and it looks like we will see a decent day for the interior of Labrador, for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and Lab City. But what about the weekend? We'll take a look at your long range. That's towards the end of the show. Stick around.
Thanks, Heather. Well, sci-fi nerds and pop culture lovers, get ready. The annual Sci-Fi on the Rock convention kicks off in St. John's tomorrow. Science fiction and fantasy fans from across the province and the country are coming together for 3 fun-filled days. As Here Now's Arlette Lazarenko finds out, for serious devotees, the preparation for this weekend starts early.
Meet Kitsora, a self-proclaimed mega nerd. She's one of the many science fiction fanatics who will make their way downtown on Friday for the Sci-fi on the Rock convention. Outside the convention, she embraces the fantasy life. Her husband, Drew Saris, is her pop culture partner. They both work to help organize the event.
There's going to be costumes, there's panels, there's events, there's guest speakers, there's actors and voice actor guests, there's karaoke, there's concerts going on. We have 2 different bands organized for Friday and Sunday to show up and just play in the atrium for a couple of hours at a time. It's just a lot of stuff going on. I'm mostly in charge of the vendor room. We have a huge variety of, I think, 80 to 90 vendors and artists selling things and creating things and just promoting their merchandise. And we organize those. I kind of take care of any problems they have. I do the setup with the hotel. I move in Thursday morning and I leave Monday morning. People just want to connect with other people. Like, I just want to show off my toys. People want to show off their costumes. People want to talk about their interests.
So, and like it has like impact. So. I did my first cosplay, I believe, in 2010. My friend actually lent me a costume. So I borrowed one from her and I put it on and I'm like, oh, I'm this person, this is so cool. And then it kind of exploded and snowballed from there. Cosplaying is essentially just dressing up like a character that makes you feel happy. Like if there's somebody that you want to just portray or a character that looks really cool in a movie, you can just dress up like them and kind of embody them. Some people find it as like a good way to escape and just kind of get a chance to be somebody else. We find a lot of people at the convention tend to be pretty shy, but the second they pop on like a wig and a cosplay, they're like, yeah, I've got the confidence of 1,000 gods, you know?
All this costume talk made me want to try it myself. I'll meet you at the princess room.
So this is the fairy princess room. How do you feel? I feel it.
I know what you mean. I don't know, growing up, we had that kind of stigma of like, oh, you're a nerd, that's not cool.
Yes.
But now it is kind of cool to be a nerd.
It's so much more mainstream. I don't know when the shift happened, but like I can remember, you know, like growing up liking Star Trek and Star Wars, like I had said, and like my parents liked it, but like they were always kind of like quiet about it. Like, you know, like we knew because we'd watch it together and like they'd like get excited for the movies and stuff, but it was never like they wouldn't go dress up as their favorite characters or, you know, like fangirl in the same way that I would. But in the last few years, there's been such a push for this sort of media that everybody seems to be doing it, and it's cool and it's encouraged, and you know, you can kind of make a fandom out of anything, so it works.
We had, I think, 17 years of planning, 15 events, and it started off, we'd host the event, and then 3 or 4 months later, we'd talk about each other again and start planning the next year. And that time started to shorten down. And now we're planning next year last month. So there's overlap now. We don't have any real free time off not thinking about Sci-Fi on the Rock.
Arlette Lazarenko, CBC News, St. John's.
A Mount Pearl teen is doing his best to keep as much electronic waste out of the dump as he can, and he's doing it ahead of Earth Day on Monday. Ryan Easton is the young entrepreneur behind the e-waste kingdom, Ryan's Recycling. Your Now's Chrissy Holmes takes us there.
He's got a 10,000 square foot storage yard, a 700 square foot warehouse scrapping facility, a dumpster rental operation, and a vision to reuse all this stuff in the future. The boss of this e-waste operation is 15 years old.
I'm Ryan Easton. I own and operate Ryan's Recycling Services out of Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. We do dumpster rentals, scrap car removal, appliance recycling, metal recycling, e-waste recycling.
Wait, what grade are you in?
9.
By now, you're likely thinking that Easton grew up in some business-savvy family. But his mom says,
no, I'm healthcare. My husband was healthcare. Entrepreneurship, no, and all 3 kids seem to have some sort of that gene.
He picked up the skills he needed to run this venture on YouTube.
People posting videos about how to do stuff, and I kept on learning more and more and more, and started learning stuff on my own.
Like what?
How to take apart the appliances.
And then he'd bring something home, like a microwave, and he'd say, oh, there's a heat sink in this, and there's a transformer in this, and there's this much wire, and it weighs this many pounds. And I'm like, okay, great.
I started picking up old stuff from people's houses and a couple of garages, saving it up in my backyard.
He started talking about the warehouse, and I just thought, like, you're getting in over your head. Like, come on, he was, 13 at the time. Like, you're joking, right? But before you know it, we were up here talking to the landlord.
And then last April, I moved in here.
He was only here a couple weeks, and he was like, I want that yard out there. I'm like, there's too many bills. You're going to get in over your head.
And last June, I started renting the yard.
And he said it filled. That's the other thing. Like, then it grew to appliances and cars to scrap, and you don't know what's coming in from one day to the next.
So tell us a little bit about the business plan that you've set out with here.
So I started buying appliances about last August. So we'll process the metals, and then we'll sell them to a bulk buyer.
And is it good business?
Yeah. From last August to the end of last year, we did about 185 tons of scrap steel, which is about 300,000 pounds.
What's the biggest thing that surprised you as a mom?
Oh, well, there's lots, but his financial savviness is pretty impressive too. Like, I don't question his numbers anymore. I remember the first time that he bought like a load of copper wire or copper pipe or something it was, and he spent a couple $100. And we went to like another yard to sell it, and I'm on my pins and needles thinking he's gonna lose his shirt. He's gonna lose his shirt. He comes out and he says, I doubled my money.
Well, I started this out, I didn't spend a single dollar to start this up. I kept reinvesting all the money I made from it and kept growing.
What's been the biggest challenge so far?
Probably starting into the dumpster rentals. We bought a trailer and it has 4 bins. And then around the middle of the summer, we bought 2 more bins for it.
Are you old enough to drive?
No, my dad drives for me.
So that's one challenge.
Yeah.
With a growing business in Donovan's, he's also got growth plans for his 3rd annual Earth Day free e-waste collection event. And free is key because
most people, if they have to pay for it, they'll just throw it in their garbage bucket and let it go on down to the landfill.
And why is that bad?
You got to re-mine all those new materials again, and it's polluting the earth with all the stuff in the landfill.
I read an article or saw an article a year or two ago that said there's more precious metals in the landfill than there is in a mine. And that's just mind-boggling, right? And it's disgusting that we're doing that. So I'm on the ride with them now.
So how many people work for your business?
It's my mom and my dad help me out mostly, and I'll have a couple of my buddies help me out too.
And they are all going to be on deck at Ryan's Recycling.
We're doing it from 10 to 3 on April 20th. We're taking all kinds of electronics and metals, so like your computers, your laptops, phones, tablets, all kinds of stuff like that, old appliances, stuff like that.
This is like the event, and it's just great seeing what comes through, talking to a lot of people. Like I said, there's just so many opportunities in an event like that to say, and though people have come with questions too, right? You know, what about this? Do you take this? What about this? Do you take this? And then that's an opportunity to say, well, not only yes, do we take it, but here's why, and here's what's valuable in it. And, you know, don't be throwing this stuff in the garbage. And there's just, I think there's so much education yet because people still don't know.
Where do you see yourself in 20 years from now?
I'd like to have multiple locations and a good few people hired on.
You want to stay in Newfoundland and Labrador?
Yeah.
All this, and he's not old enough to drive yet.
Right. In his parking lot, he can drive.
Ryan, you're not allowed to drive a vehicle yet. What about these bad boys, though? Are you allowed to drive these?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Well, on my own property, but.
Chrissy Holmes, CBC News, Mount Pearl.
Well, they say food is a window into culture, and if that's true, then maybe textiles could be the door. The province's multicultural women's organization offered immigrants a chance to highlight their culture through an event called Worldly Wonders. Have a look.
Yes, this is a very exciting event. People from different countries, they are showing their art and culture and textiles and on the table and booth. Total 19 countries are represented today upstairs and more than 82 families. So you can, like family members and everyone. So it is a very good crowd today.
This is the table. I'm representing Pakistan, my country today, and I'm here in Canada as an international student. And then we have some textiles from Pakistan, and these are all handmade things. You can see here, and this is the stuff. The cotton I put here, that is the major export of Pakistan, because Pakistan is the major export of cotton. Pakistan is the best source of pink salt here.
What we are trying to represent here is just a small piece of Mexico, right? Obviously, Mexico is big, it's huge. But
it's huge.
Best thing of Mexico is the food, right? So I'm very sure that all the people in the world knows tacos, right? So, but tacos is not the only one we have in Mexico. We have a different kind of food depending on the region, right? So we have mole, guacamole, elotes, tamales, bocoles. I would say the best drink of Mexico is tequila, right? We have one kind of tequila here.
Before we had like blenders and everything, Mayas use this to just mash everything in the bowl, like tomatoes and chilies, dried chilies or fresh chilies. And they just like mash it up with this really heavy rock, and it will make like a sort of like a paste, and they use that to like eat and everything. And they still use it actually. It's like a great way to like connect like from a culture.
Okay, she's deaf artist, Nikita Sachdeva, and doing her artwork since the age of 3. She is good in her brush strokes. She expresses herself through the brush strokes. She can work on oil, she can work on water, any medium of color she's very much comfortable. She cannot speak, but her painting speaks.
We have a lot of ancient traditional stuff. For example, we brought a model with us, and I'm really thankful to Irina for showing what do we have and how we wear that. For example, you may see she wears vyshyvanka, and we have a lot of them today. They from different regions. They have different, for example, flowers or leaves or berries or some animals, like whatever you may see there. And the most precious and the most ancient part in our collection, it's a rushne. It's 100 years old and it's in perfect condition. It's from Irina's family, and I think your grandmother did it. Your grandmother did it, so it's really, really rare exponent.
Every culture has their own beauty, and Newfoundland and Labrador, we know that there are not many immigrants newcomers before. Even I moved in 30 years back from other part of the world. But that time when our kids grew up here, we didn't see that much of different ethnicity representing. Now you can see anywhere you go, actually a lot of newcomers with different ethnic backgrounds. So a person when move from one country to another, this is not a person. This is a people comes with their culture, their values, their food habit, their attitude, their whole thing. So a person is a kind of a combination of everything. And then if we know the culture of the other people or other ethnic backgrounds person, then you will understand them, respect them.
Okay, time for a look at the weather, and a lot of people talking about the snow. Not so much here in our neck of the woods, but Central saw quite a bit of snow today, hey?
Yeah, I just saw on social media, a meteorologist posted that there is 10 centimeters as of 6 o'clock this evening down in the Gander area. And then what's falling in Grand Falls, Windsor looks like it is starting to kind of melt as it falls. So hopefully this doesn't really stick around for long.
Yeah.
Temperatures are going to be a little bit warmer, but let's take a look. As we go into Friday evening, you can see there's basically cloud for everyone, but we're starting to get some more precipitation moving over Labrador West. So as the system departs on Friday for eastern Newfoundland, we've got one kind of coming our way in the west here, and that's going to bring rain or snow as it moves into Saturday for parts of Labrador, and it'll make its way to us. You can see here in the east, lots of cloudy gray icons, temperatures from 6 for St. John's and the Burin Peninsula, almost into the double digits for Gander and there for Grand Falls, Windsor. Temperatures dropping back for the southwest coast, and you could see some showers there and some rain possible for the northern peninsula as well. Whatever falls for Labrador here, it could be a shower or a flurry. As we move on into Saturday evening, it looks like this is going to start to move across the island, and we should see some precipitation for the island's west coast. Things starting to clear for Labrador West and Ning. You get some sun and cloud, and then this moves eastward. Temperatures dropping back a touch through central, but same for the east part of the island. Taking a look now at our 5-day, our outlook. Saturday looking like we have cloud. Monday looking like sun and cloud. Friday, Sunday, not so hot. Tuesday, a gray day yet again. As we go on into central Newfoundland, we could see some flurries Friday. Gray day Saturday, precipitation on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday looking good. Western Newfoundland, it looks like Friday's going to be an absolutely lovely day for you. The weekend is going to be the pits. Look at that. And then Monday, Tuesday looking good. Monday especially so, into the double digits for you there. As we go on to eastern Labrador, it looks like the weekend's not going to be great for you either, but going into your work week, you know, improving a little bit. And for Lab West, it looks like you could see precipitation on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, looking half decent for you, and then possible flurries there on Tuesday. Now, let's leave you with this golden gem of a photo after all of that snow.
Yeah.
Hope springs eternal.
You can hear the angels singing.
Signal Hill Sunrise. This comes to us from Tina Olivero. Thank you so much for this, Tina. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you have any beautiful photos, again, we do love to see them. You can send them here. nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Yeah, that's a keeper. That's a framer.
Indeed, isn't it?
Yeah, could be on a postcard.
So lovely.
Yeah. Thank you so much to everyone who sends us in those gorgeous photos. Yeah, it's a good thing actually in St. John's today that all that rain didn't come down as snow, because wouldn't that have been a messy day?
It was so windy. My car was just shaking lunchtime. It was just not a nice day outside for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely like put your hood up and put your head down and just push on through kind of day.
Get inside.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.